According to the Harvard Business Review, AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. And I firmly believe that. I see that happening already. Also, it's not on this slide, but Goldman Sachs said that they estimate 300 million jobs are going to be lost or severely diminished by AI. Now, AI is also going to create and already is creating an amazing number of new jobs. But over this series, I'm going to be covering how not to be one of the ones who lose their jobs to AI, because you actually totally do not have to lose your job at all. In fact, you can use AI to really expand what you do. Now, Bloomberg Intelligence said generative AI is to become a $1.3 trillion market by 2032, up from the measly mere 40 billion that it's already at in 2023. So now, since we're dealing with prompts, it's mainly the area of content tools. And as I mentioned briefly last week, there are many AI tools. In fact, there's 3,000 tools now available for creating text-based content. My favorites are the well-known one, ChatGPT, and Bard, which is Google's version, Bing Chat, which is one of Microsoft's versions because they also own ChatGPT, and Merlin. I hear music. And since it only takes seconds and it's free, I'll often try the same query in each and use the results that work best for what I'm doing. Last night, I was working with a client, and we started using ChatGPT, couldn't get what we were looking for, went to Claude, got what we were looking for, and it was fantastic. But then Claude, on the next series of queries that we were doing, wasn't so hot, went back to ChatGPT, which was great. So it's kind of like they all have their pluses and their minuses. So I find that I like to, I used to check all five. These days, it's more check between ChatGPT and Claude 2. Now, I mentioned this last week, but it's very important to understand that ChatGPT, the version that you get when you just look up ChatGPT on the web, it's the free version. So everyone goes, oh, let me try this out. And they get varying results, sometimes great, sometimes not. And the reason for that is that the free version was only trained up until September 2021, and it has no web internet access. So the information that it's going to give you is going to be not that great and not up to date. And as an example, that version, the free version, failed the bar exam. Bottom 10% of applicants, whereas the paid version, which is $20 a month, passed the bar exam in the top 10%. There's a big difference. Now, as I mentioned here, I recently started using a newer one, Claude 2, which is also free. And so far, I absolutely love it. It recently helped me literally do weeks of market research in about 30 minutes. So as you're going to see, AI, well, actually, as you saw last week, AI can be used to create content more efficiently and quickly by automating a lot of tasks. However, it should not be seen as a replacement for human creativity, research, or judgment. It's interesting. Last night, I had an artist, a very prestigious artist, who was very concerned about AI and how it would affect him as an artist. And so I had a conversation with Claude all about, well, how come, you guys can do such amazing things with art, but you also say that you're never going to be able to replace true artists. Why is that? And Claude gave us a lot of really good information, to the point where my artist friend was completely convinced and very happy about AI, because it was really like having a conversation with a human. I mean, it was so beautiful back and forth. And the AI gave wonderful examples and reasons why it will never fully replace human creativity. Now, ChatGPT, people ask, what on earth does that mean, GPT? And unfortunately, the answer is not going to help much, because it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which tells me nothing. I mean, I don't know about you, but it tells me nothing. But basically, it means that it learns what to say by capturing information from the internet and from its interactions with millions of people. And it then predicts what should be the next thing that it puts together in terms of the information that it's going to give. So it uses all of this to generate responses to questions or commands that someone might ask. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's only up to date to September 2021. Now, if you want to use the free version, which I actually do quite a lot, and you do want web access, there's a Chrome extension called Web Chat GPT. It's a free extension, and it adds web access to the free version. So it makes it a lot more usable, a lot more useful. Web Chat GPT. And like I say, if you email me, I'll send you the slides and you'll have the direct link. So let's see. Yeah, so this is what ChatGPT looks like. And you see on the bottom there, the web access button. So when you get that plugin, or that Chrome extension, you just click on web access and it opens up a whole bunch more. Is that somebody's phone? Okay. Bard is Google's version. Now, when Bard first came out, it was not good, and it got annihilated on the web because it was nowhere near as good as ChatGPT. So they kind of put their tails between their legs, ran off for 2 months, and came back with a far improved version. And then a week ago, actually 2 weeks now, they really upgraded it dramatically. So Bard is actually now very good. And it produces, you can tell it to give you results in a table, or as in this instance, I had a client who wanted to know all the local beachfront stores selling stuff for tourists. And it not only gave the 21 with information about the beach, but it gave a photograph of each one, which was helpful for her. Bing Chat is the one that's built into, it's free. And actually, the interesting thing about Bing Chat is it enables you to access the latest version, the paid version of ChatGPT, but for free within Bing, mostly in Microsoft Edge. In some cases, you'll find it's starting to move over into Chrome and Safari and other browsers and Firefox. It's very good when you're doing any kind of queries that might want you to access the web and to get search information, because it's built upon Bing, which is a search engine. It also has a nice feature where, as you ask questions, it will suggest next questions that you might want to ask. And that's what that one looks like. Merlin is actually kind of one of my favorites, because he very much has a personality. He's quite witty. For instance, in a recent thing, I got a kind of bizarre email from somebody, and I said, "Okay, Merlin, reply to this email as Donald Trump." And it did, and it totally captured Donald Trump's style of speaking in this email. And it was very funny and very witty. But anyway, Merlin sits in the corner of your screen, and it's there all the time. If you're browsing the web or you're doing text messaging or anything where you want to quickly access AI, it's right there. And it's also great for summarizing web pages, summarizing YouTube videos, so you don't have to spend an hour or two watching the video. Merlin will tell you what the video is all about and where the information is. And it's actually a browser extension. So how you get to Merlin is literally go to your extensions for your browser, for Chrome or wherever, and look up Merlin and click install, and then you have Merlin. It's free, and it also has a pro version, whereas ChatGPT's paid version is $20 a month, Merlin's, of course, is $19 a month, because they want to compete. Right.
That's not even a meal out.
That's true. Okay, so Early on, when I was first looking into these GPTs, I tested the main four which were out at that time: ChatGPT, Bing, Merlin, and Bard. And I gave this prompt. I said, "You are a marketing consultant. What are the main questions that you would ask small business owners in order to best advise them on their marketing?" And you see there, I gave it a role. As you're going to see shortly, that's a very handy thing to do. If you can give them the identity and the role that they're going to be looking at things from, you get different responses. But anyway, so I did that. And with ChatGPT, I got 7 suggestions for questions. But because I've been working in marketing for like 40 years, I could tell the key questions that were missing. And so I went, okay, let's just check. I also missed key questions, but they were different questions. And when I put the answers from both of them together, I got a really good information. Merlin gave me 10 questions, and they were the best questions. But it varies so much in terms of who's going to be the best on any particular question or query or day. And Bard gave me 8 good questions plus good suggestions for more areas to research. So in my experience, none of them are perfect, but by using them, if you don't get what you want with one, try it with another. And very often you can find, oh, the combination of this and this gives me everything I need. These days, I actually mostly use Claude and ChatGPT. I can pretty much always get the information I need from those two. Yeah, mostly use Claude too. Actually, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm just going to Claude now, and I've got 3 monitors here, so I have to move this, drag this up to there so you can actually see Claude. Um, there he is. I'm just going to go with Google. I use him on my desktop, so that's why he's not recognizing me on my laptop.
Is it an extension or an app or just a website?
It's a website. Come on, Google. All right. There we go. Oh, yeah, it recognizes me. So what I did there is I clicked start a new chat, because one of the important things is when you are doing a chat with a G, can you let that person in? My mouse is not operating here on this screen because of admit, yeah. Ah, oh, there we go. This is kind of tricky. Operating this monitor up behind me with the mouse in front of me. Anyway, I'll get it together. So let's see. I'm going to try an interesting one. We have a computer club. We have a computer club that helps seniors and others in the Tampa-Bay area.
Like I do.
Yeah, badly. Area that helps seniors and others with lots of great computer and internet Comte. Thank you. I'm not used to typing from a distance.
Sorry, young people don't know what a computer is.
Well, I'm still learning.
That's why we had to get that out of our name.
The computer and internet information classes, seminars, and even free computer repair. How many misspellings have I done there? What would be some great online and offline? Normally I'd ask online separately from offline, but since we're doing what we're doing, I'm going to, and don't worry, I think this is the last time in this webinar that I'll actually be doing any typing. Great online and offline. What would be some great online and offline ways to promote our club? All right, so now I'm going to click this. Yeah.
Instance.
What question did you ask? I can't read it.
Who's
I
that?
haven't got my cataract. What was your quote?
Okay.
Read the prompt.
Let me see if I can get my mouse back to that screen and I'll find out. There we go. It was, are you ready?
Yeah,
We have a computer club that helps seniors and others in the Tampa Bay area with lots of great computer and internet information, classes, seminars, and even free computer repair. What would be some great online and offline ways to promote our club? And it gave a bunch of online promotion ideas and offline promotion ideas. Now, what I would do here is, for instance, it said start social media accounts. So I will say, because it's a conversation, I would say, thank you, first of all, because I like to be polite to my robot AIs. Well, just in case. Thank you. You mentioned social media. Give me some great ideas about how to use social media for this. And now let me see my typos. Let me see what
It's actually auto-corrected.
Oh, good. Okay. So now you see, it gives me more information for each of the different networks. It gives ideas. And I can take these and I can get it to give me 20 ideas for Facebook. I did one recently. I did a market research campaign for a client, and it gave me 20 different things they could do in Facebook posts to just really. But anyway, so you get the idea. You can ask lots of questions. You can keep asking questions. You can. Doc is looking at his watch. I'm getting worried.
No. Somebody's asking me.
Okay, good.
I want a podcast.
Oh, okay. Oh, someone says my dinosaur is distracting. All right, let me address my dinosaur. Let me retire him. I'm gonna retire my.
He's afraid it's real. He's afraid Tony's being attacked from behind.
And where is that on the screen?
You guys here you're not seeing it. Okay, so that should be less distracting. So that was for Patrick. All right, so you get the idea that you can just ask it questions and keep asking it questions. And usually I'll get all the information I need in 4 or 5 questions, sometimes more. But it can go really, really, really deep and give you anything that you get interested in. You say, well, tell me more about that. And it will go boom. And you see how fast it is to get that information. So now I'm going to try get my mouse onto this screen so that I can get back. There we go. Now I get my mouse back on this screen. Yeah, and there, of course, is Claude. Here was one where I was doing some market research for a romance author for promotion, and it mentioned influencers. So I said, thank you. Who are the main influencers on social media for romance genre books? And it not only gave me the main influencers, it gave me their names and their addresses, basically, and the information about each of them. So it's very useful like that. Last night, I had somebody who wanted to do create a grant proposal for Tampa-Bay Wildlife Council. And I asked it, what would you need in order to create a really compelling grant proposal? So it gave all the information. And then I said, well, and who should we contact? And it gave the 6 top posts. And I said, okay, who are those posts and what's their contact information? Gave all that information. And then I said, but this is great, but is that accurate? And it showed me how and why it was accurate. And it was very, very, very useful to the client.
You were using Claude too?
Yeah. Now, the thing about these, and in a minute we're going to get actually into actual prompts and the whole area of prompting. And prompting is just basically how you talk to the machine. Oh, look, there's Doc has appeared and he's blocking me now.
I'm replacing the dinosaur.
You are indeed. Look at that. You're replacing me as well, unfortunately. Can you move?
I can move.
Great. Okay, so now where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay. So I want to mention something about this. These AI, even though it's very much like having a conversation with a real person, and it gets spookily real at times, and the AI will suddenly say something or originate something that is brilliant, and you go, whoa, wow, it's pretty extraordinary. But anyway, but what I wanted to mention is that they're just tools, and it can help people create what goes into making a product much faster, as well as give inspiration. And the people who use it best creatively, as you'll see next week when we get into images and videos, will be the artists, especially those who do further work to make the AI output their own. The artist is the source of creativity. He or she is conscious. The AI, no matter how smart it is not. And you guys here and you guys in the Zoom, you're all conscious, we hope, but the AI is not. And the artist is the source of original ideas. At the same time, he or she is free to take inspiration from anywhere he or she chooses, including AI. Now, let's just take a look at the evolution. In the 17th century, we had parchment paper, quills, candles. Coming forward to the 20th century, we moved to typewriters and electric lamps. Then 21st century, we moved to computers and better lamps. Now in 2023, we have AI. It's just the evolution of a tool. You follow that? That's all it is. It's nothing to be scared of. It's just a tool. And it's something you can use and it can help enormously. So what is a prompt? A prompt is what you write in a text box like this, where it says enter a prompt here, as we did a minute ago with Claude. Write in a text box to ask the AI a question or tell it what to do. It's how you communicate with the machine. And you communicate, in the old days, you had to communicate almost in computer programming language and very precise in what you say. Now you just talk to it as you would talk to another person. And even if I had left those typos, it probably would have done the prompt anyway, or done the command or the question anyway. Very often it will figure out what you're trying to say. All right, so now we're getting into prompt info, and I have to warn you, this is going to be a lot of text, so you definitely going to email me at the end to get copies of this, because there's going to be a lot of information. And like I say, I'll send you the slides. I'll give you my email address at the end. So when crafting any prompt, 90% of the time, you can start with this basic prompt structure. It's very versatile, and you can tailor it to many tasks that you want GPT to do for you. Okay, that's the end of the seminar. Goodbye. I'm kidding. Right. Okay. So here's the prompt structure that's very workable. So first, specify what action you want performed, i.e. edit, rewrite, critique, etc. Specify what format you want it to output in, e.g. an essay, bullet points, outline, or whatever format you want. And this one is very cool. This one doesn't apply to every prompt, but to a lot of prompts, it's very useful. Hang on a sec. You give the AI a role, so it knows what viewpoint it should be looking at things from. And I know people who actually build a whole staff for themselves, where they have one AI who's their marketing director, one AI who's their public relations person, and they will ask them questions from those hats, from those viewpoints. And it's pretty extraordinary. But anyway, so you say, you are a literary editor, write in the style of Stephen King or whoever you want to, or in your own style, your own voice. And then this one can help. You can provide a source or an example, which you can just paste in and say, here's an example of how I'd like it. Yeah, providing an example is optional, but you can get better results when you include one. For example, if you want help writing an article, here's how you could use this prompt to get a well-written output. Write an outline for an article about growing an audience on TikTok. Format it in bullet points. Write it as if you are a TikTok marketing expert. Here's an example. Insert your example text. So now, like, this is just one way that's very workable. If you're just starting out and you want to try it out, this works very well as a kind of generic prompt. But you can get a lot more granular than that, as you're going to see. So, prompt tip number 1. Out of 596 tips that we're going to be covering. No, luckily that's not true. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes in prompting or writing prompts is not being specific enough in your prompt leads not being specific enough in your prompt leads to vague and generic answers. Provide more specific direction and you'll get more useful results. By the way, this whole area of what they call prompt engineering, I mentioned before that new jobs are springing up because of AI. Prompt engineering is a job that is in such demand that there are companies in Silicon Valley paying $900,000 a year to hire prompt engineers. So it's pretty extraordinary how popular and how needed prompt engineering is. So you don't say, here's a generic thing, how can I grow my business? You'll get really generic results. Oh, someone's trying to get in. There we go. Instead, you could say, what copywriting strategies can I use to grow my coaching business using Twitter? See, that's more specific, and the answers you'll get will be more specific. Or don't write me a story about a dog who goes on an adventure. Very generic, unspecific, but write me an epic and suspenseful story. Write me an epic and suspenseful story about a lost dog who finds his way home through a dangerous and unfamiliar wilderness. So that's more specific, and the results you'll get will be better. And you can go a lot more specific than that. Yeah, can lead to more engaging and interesting results. Now, prompt tip number 2. Add to the prompt. Let's say sometimes the GPT will assume that your IQ is 200, and it might not be. I know, I'm sorry if I'm insulting anybody in this room, but there might be people in this room whose IQ is less than 200. But so you can tell it what how you want it to its response to be able to communicate. Last night, in fact, I was working with someone, and the response that came up was great, but it was just a little bit above where he was. So we asked the GPT, it was Claude in this instance, to rewrite the same information for, and we actually specified an IQ. What we would normally say is this grade level or teenager or 5-year-old or whatever it might be. And it gave this information much more understandable for him. And he was delighted. So you can add to a prompt, write in a conversational style, as if you were explaining to a friend. This will help avoid the generic and formal sounding voice that ChatGPT sometimes defaults to. We want a simple, more conversational answer that sounds more, quote, human. Last night, actually, I had to go through that 4 times before I got it sounding really human. And the final result was just, it actually blew us away. It was so good. It was so emotional and rich and human. Yeah, so you say, write as if you were explaining to a 5-year-old. When you come across really complex stuff on the web written for scientific nerds, you can say, write as if you were explaining it to a 5-year-old, and it will. And you go, oh, I understand now. Prompt tip number 3, and this is what I mentioned before. Give the GPT a specific role. Answer as if you were a doctor, a lawyer, a business coach, an editor, a marketer, whatever it might be. Because then what it'll do is it'll say, okay, my hat is this. I'm going to view these trillions of data that I have access to on the web and in my own network of information, and I'm going to look at it from the viewpoint of this role. So you get much more defined, precise. Make sense?
Mhm.
Good. Or pretend you are a specific role. Example, pretend you work in the finance department and your job is to collect payments from clients. Draft a scary email that gets XYZ client to pay $100,000 of services rendered, but hasn't responded to 5 emails. The invoices are 5 months overdue, and the GPT will happily write the correct email from your finance department. Another one, I want you to act as a successful marketing professional. My first request is, I need help developing a marketing plan for my company. Ask me whatever questions you need in order to develop the plan. That's one I actually use quite often for different situations. Okay, and here's some expanded information on the role prompt. You are a professional prompt engineer. Your number 1 job is to help me craft the best possible prompt to get the results I want from ChatGPT. Here is the process. 1, first ask me what the prompt will be about. My answer will be pretty basic, so we need to improve it by iterating or repeating through the next steps. 2, your response will include 3 sections. A, the iterated prompt. This is the prompt that you will rewrite each time I answer more questions. It should be clear, concise, and easily understood by you. 4, B, suggestions. With your expansive prompt engineer knowledge, give me the suggestions on how to improve the prompt. And 5, or C, questions. Make sure you ask all questions to uncover details about my prompt needs that will help you craft the best possible prompt. Let me go back there. So here you're getting the GPT to actually craft the best prompt for you, and you'll give it some information. It will craft a prompt, and it'll ask you for more stuff, and it will modify the prompt. And it'll ask you for more stuff. It'll modify the prompt further. And when it's got all the information that it needs by going back and forth with you in the conversation, then the end prompt that comes up will be so much better than you would have gotten if you just sat down and tried to create your own prompt. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Good.
Why would you pay somebody $1 million and forget it?
Okay, a question in the room here is, why would you pay someone $1 million if you could create the prompt yourself like this? Answer is, I wouldn't. But the thing is that most people don't know this stuff. And most companies, they find out, they hear about, oh my God, I got to talk to the machines. I have no clue what to do. They just don't, they can't confront it, and they don't take the time to research and find out it's not as difficult as they've been led to believe.
You can also ask it, you can also ask, how can I improve it? You can have a prompt and say, how can I improve this prompt?
Absolutely.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. That's a classic thing to do. Gentleman here said you could ask it, here's my prompt, how can I improve it? And absolutely, it will come up with great, and you can even say, give me 5 alternate prompts that are better than mine, and it will.
If you have a prompt and you looking at a particular audience, say you want it Chinese or Japanese,
Yes, ChatGPT is very good for languages. Absolutely. And I tested that with a Chinese person about a month ago, and we got the answers in Mandarin. I think it was Mandarin. And he looked at it and said, wow, that's exactly right. I mean, to me, it was like hieroglyphics, but it gave the correct answer in Chinese. Okay, here you can go answer in the style of. So write in the style of Seth Godin, Gary Vee, Stephen King, whoever you wanted to write in the style of. And I'm going to give you an example a little bit shortly. Come up with 5 viral YouTube video titles on the topic of whatever your topic is in the style of Mr. Beast or whoever you want to emulate the style of. Prompt tip number 5. Summarize long-form content or make it more concise. The GPTs are fantastic for this. You can take a long article and just paste it in and say, hey, summarize this to me and make it understandable. And he goes, and it's done. It saves you a lot of time. Write a 1-sentence summary of the following using simple language a 5th grader could understand. And then you enter the text to be summarized. Prompt 6. Give examples of the type of answer you want. Example, write me a tweet in 280 characters on the topic of how to make $10,000 a month on YouTube. Here's a good example of how I would like you to format it. And then you input the sample tweet. Tip 7, give formatting instructions. Ask ChatGPT or Claude or Bard or Bing or Merlin to format its output in a specific way to get answers exactly in the format you want. You could ask it to answer in bullet points, short paragraphs, Q&A style, essay style with headings, followed by short paragraphs, etc., whatever format you want. Example, I want to know what artists struggle with in their daily work. Write some questions I might ask to find this out and give me answers as if you were an artist answering the questions in their own words. Prompt tip 8. This is a good one because I'm going to explain hallucinating in a moment, but this kind of alludes to that because actually let me just jump forward and jump back because hallucinations. So occasionally an AI in its eagerness to please will make up an answer when it can't find the actual answer. And I've been Claude I've been using a lot ever since it came out a few months back. And it's been fantastic in the accuracy of its results. But then suddenly, about 3 weeks ago, it gave an answer. And I just happened to know that answer was not correct. So I said, hey, what is this? That information is not accurate. And Claude was extremely apologetic. And so then I basically trained him very quickly to not do this. And since then, he's been behaving very well. And he now tells me if he cannot give me a definitive answer. Yes?
Do they remember that each time, or do you have to put that in your prompt each time?
Okay, that's a very good question. A gentleman asked, do they remember that information each time, or do you have to put that in your prompt each time? There's 2 answers to that. One is with any of these GPTs, when you start a conversation, they will remember the earlier parts of that specific conversation, that specific question. Now, ChatGPT will remember up to 6,000 characters. Claude will remember up to 100,000 characters, which is why it's better for writing books and stuff like that, because you can plug in a book and 100,000 character book and say, here, fix this. So there's that answer, but also with ChatGPT, there's a thing called custom instructions. And with the custom instructions, you enter whatever information you want to be there for every prompt. And so there, it doesn't matter what conversation you're in, it will refer to the custom instructions. Okay, so let's see if I give an example here. Yeah, after I ask my question, I say, please do your best to verify your answers to ensure that they are 100% correct, and name your sources. If you cannot be sure that your information is correct, say so, and never make up an answer. If what you are saying is an quote estimate based on other information that you have, say so. And that has proven really good. I used it last night for something that I wanted to be sure. It was giving me the names, email addresses, and phone numbers of 6 people in a particular area that we wanted to contact, and we wanted to be sure that the information was correct. And by using this, Claude said, yes, absolutely, I verified it, and it gave me all the places it verified it from. And so I'm going to go back to the previous. Yeah, so that's part of this prompt number 8 of telling the AI to explain its reasoning. And you can say, you can put in your question, you can say, explain step by step how you came to that answer. So if I make $50,000 per year, pay 25% in tax and save the rest, how long will it take me to save $1 million? Explain your reasoning step by step. So that works really well. And we'll go through the hallucinations again. Now, this is an interesting site that I came across recently. It's called promptvibes.com. And you can basically ask it to write the prompts for you on numerous different subjects. If you're looking for something specific, it has a whole drop down of numerous different subjects that you can ask about. And I think on the next slide, looking for something specific, you can, this one will convert blog content into social media posts, which is useful. And it has a drop down here where you can look at trending prompts, new prompts, most used prompts. So it's a way just to get instant prompts. And then, of course, you can put them in your GPT and say, if you want, can you improve on this prompt if it's not perfect? That's promptvibes.com. Now, here's an example. I'd say it's an example of a conversation. Unfortunately, I've only got, it's one-sided. I've only got the questions, I think, here, not the answers. But anyway, I said, what is the best way for a prompt? Actually, this is kind of small. Let me see. Oh, yeah. What is the best way for a new romance author to promote his book online? He does not have any social media channels yet, but plans to create those that you feel would be best for promoting his book. Once he sets up his new channels, what then? And it gave me great information, but it was talking about finding the best fans. So I said, thank you, but how does one find the best fans of books in the genre? And it gave me great information. And I said, okay, is it vital for the author himself to do all these interactions, or could they be done by others? And it gave the answer and explained its reasoning. What would be the best way to use videos in all these social media promotions? And it gave me that information. And then I said, thank you. Who are the main influencers on social media for romance genre books? And you saw before that it gave me those. And then I said, thank you. The author has the same name as a famous person. What would you suggest? How he, the author, should name his social media channels. And it gave half a dozen great alternative ways that he could name his channels, including his YouTube channel. Then it started talking about hiring a social media manager. So I said, what should I expect to have to pay a social media manager? And it gave me that information. And then it named some authors that were kind of similar. And I said, who are other authors who are considered similar to Tom Wolfe and Dominic Dunn? And it gave me a good list of those. And then what would be your recommendations for the best way to promote his book on YouTube? And it gave me all that information. So you see how these conversations, they go just like the conversation with a real person. You get an answer and you look through the answer and you go, okay, I want more information about that. And you ask, and you end up in one of these conversations with an incredible amount of information that if you were trying to research that yourself online or on the phone or in person, could take you weeks. And here you get the answers in literally minutes, because you saw how fast it answered when I asked before. Another useful prompt is paste your text into ChatGPT or one of the others and use this prompt. Fix the spelling, punctuation, grammar, and sentence structure of the text above and list what you changed. I find it's very useful if it lists what it changed, because then I can compare and see if I like what it did better than what I originally had. And I usually do like what it did better. But this basically, remember I mentioned before, 300 million jobs are going out the window. Obviously, book editors and proofreaders are going to have to really hustle, because this puts them out of a job. But if they're smart, which I'm going to cover, I think, in session 4, they actually, in fact, I've got a client who is a book editor. And when she first came across this information, she went, oh my God, I'm out of work. But then I showed her, no, use this, embrace this technology, use it to speed up your production dramatically, because the AI will help you, and use it to market. Use the AI to market yourself, because now you can, instead of in the time that it would take you to service 10 clients very well.
Question on that.
Yes, sir.
Can you copy and paste from a document? Like you see in a book, can you take something and copy and paste a large amount into there?
Yeah, with Claude, it's 100,000 characters you can paste in.
Okay.
With ChatGPT, it's 6,000. Also, you can now now AI can see and hear. You can paste in a picture and say, okay, here's a picture of a website I like. Tell me the code to create that website, and it will do it. Or here's a bicycle. How do I disassemble this, that, or that? And then say, okay, you do this, you do this, you do that, because it can see and understand what it sees. Same with audio now. You can ask it to listen to music or music with a voice and say, what are you hearing? And it will hear what the person is saying. It will describe the instruments it's hearing, the style of the music. So it's getting smarter every week.
So you could say, make up a bunch of common prompts and put it in notepads and just open up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, every day as I use it, I find more new things that it can do. And you'll find the same. You'll be doing something and go, oh, I wonder, and you do it and you go, whoa, it does it.
Nobody missed the last question that was asked. You know what it was? I don't even know which one it was.
Who remembers what the last question was? Was it you?
Probably mine.
Yeah.
Can you use Notepad and just make a list of your common prompts that you use to find things, and just open Notepad, copy and paste the ones you want into it?
Yeah. The question was, can you just make a list of the things you want to find out, write a bunch of prompts in a notepad, and then paste them in? And absolutely, you can do that. You can do pretty much anything. The only thing that I found that AI can't do is make me a cup of coffee, but I'm sure that's coming.
What about medical and legal advice?
Say that again?
Medical advice and legal advice. Is it for that or is it allowed?
Well, here's the thing. Were you at the one last week? Oh, okay. Well, last week I mentioned that AI about 3 months ago reached a point where it outperforms doctors in diagnosis 100% of the time. And so, yes, it gives extraordinary accurate medical advice and legal advice. And I use it for contracts and all sorts of stuff because it works really, really well. And sometimes I have a legal question about what are the legal ramifications, say, in England of this, and it'll give me the information.
They don't have any restrictions or
Not
I know you can't ask about sensitive topics.
right, yeah, and it's a moving landscape. I mean, it's changing every week in terms of something will come up where people object to certain kinds of information being broadly available. And so little by little, one or another of them will put a restriction on that. And then you just go to one of the other 5 or 6 that are available who haven't put that restriction on. But it's changing all the time.
Could it read an X-ray?
Yes, actually, it could. It absolutely can.
Make a decision?
Absolutely. And it's used by that in the medical profession a lot these days. They're using it to, to see tumors before the medical profession can see them. And just amazing things. Okay, we have to.
How does that interfere or what the HIPAA laws?
Well, it has to be very mindful of the HIPAA laws, of course. So that part is built in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Early
okay.
on, a New York Times reporter, very early on in the Chat GPT, found out that the doctor had gotten a diagnosis he hadn't expected when he asked GPT. They gave him a reference that didn't exist, and that
Yeah.
I've been, like you said, you ask it not to make stuff up, and maybe it won't.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I was covering about hallucinations and how you address that. So yeah, something like that, you absolutely wanted to check the references that they are real and that they are true. Okay, we have to move on because I just saw I've got about 4 minutes to cover about 10 slides. So here we go.
Okay.
Talk fast, yeah.
We have plenty more time. We have to all 30.
Okay, but then there's questions and answers.
I understand.
Okay, so this is an interesting example of, or I found it interesting. When I was putting together my website as an AI consultant a few months back, I asked the GPTs, what are the top 12 benefits of AI and what are the top 12 concerns of AI? And it gave me all the information I needed. And based on that, I wrote some copy for the website. Now, the copy, I'm not a copywriter, so the copy, it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. So I'll read you now the copy that I wrote. Then I'll read you the copy that the AI wrote when I said, rewrite this in the style of the top 5 copywriters in the world. And I'll show you one of them that it wrote, and you should be able to see quite a difference. So what I wrote was, you don't have time to research the best AI tools. With so many options, it's confusing. Most people don't know where to start. And with so many new tools arriving every week, it's impossible to keep up. Who has the time to learn so many new tools? What if you choose an AI tool, spend all that time learning it, and then find out that it wasn't the best tool for you? What if you give up and get left behind your competitors who are using AI? Don't try and do it all yourself. You've got enough to do already. Work with an experienced AI coach who has spent the time researching and learning the best tools and who can do all the heavy lifting, choosing the best AI tools for your exact situations and training you or your staff on how to best use them. Streamlining and automating your marketing make it easier to get more customers means more time for you. So that's what I wrote. And like I say, it was okay. It wasn't great. But then I told the GPT, and this is what it wrote. The headaches of AI can overwhelm you. The endless options confuse and frustrate. Do you have time to research it all? Of course not. You have a business to run. Yet your competitors adopt AI daily, threatening your market share. What if you choose the wrong tool? Wasted time and money on a dud technology. The stampede of new tools tramples you underfoot. Who can keep up? An AI coach is your Sherpa on the track to AI success. He's done the homework for you, learning inside and out the best technologies to propel your business upward. Put experience and expertise to work for you. Let the coach do the training while you do the leading. AI simplified, productivity maximized. The future starts today. Hire your AI coach now. Do you guys see the difference? It's like punchy in your face, boom, boom, boom. Whereas mine was kind of rambling long sentences. And guess which one I used? So yeah, AI is pretty cool. Now, I covered this last week, but I think there's some people here who weren't here last week. So here's a few of the things that you can ask AI to ask it for. You can ask for advice on just about anything, and it's got a massive database of information to choose from. It's got everything on the internet, plus all its interactions with millions of people. Detailed information about just anything, product research, market research, I'm able to do market research at a depth that I've never ever been able to do in the past, even spending 2 to 3 months in the past. Now it's like, much way faster. Outlines for books and PowerPoint presentations, video and podcast scripts. It's great at video scripts. It's quite brilliant at video scripts. Storyboards, story ideas, song ideas, inspiration for lyrics, blog posts. In fact, records you hear on the radio very often these days, the writers have gotten together. They've written a couple of verses, then they got stuck at verse 3, and they just asked the AI, continue the story, write me a verse 3 in the same style, and it does, and that's what you hear on the radio. Blog posts, you can say, write a blog post about this subject, 1,000 words, include this, don't do this, whatever. You just give it the instructions, and a few seconds later, boom, you have your blog post. Keyword research, articles, social media posts, ad copy, marketing plans, pain points for different markets that you might be targeting, music album release strategies, optimized web pages, translations. I have a client who has 600 translators around the world who are now learning through her and through me how to just really expand their business like crazy and do so much more work thanks to AI.
What are pain points?
They're the things that, let's say, for instance, I'm just looking for a good example. Pardon?
Repeat the question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The question is, what are pain points?
Different markets.
Yeah, for different markets. Each different market or each different audience has something that is painful enough for them that when they see that offered in a marketing offer, they go, yeah, I want that because that's my pain. And that's the thing. That's the thing that is bugging me or messing me up in my life. It's that kind of thing. Does that answer it? Or
So like a remedy or a cure?
No, it's more the actual thing that is being remedied. It's like, for instance, I'm going.
On the screen, that go and then the water goes in the gutter, but the leaves don't, they want it to clean out the gutter.
Can you speak louder? Sorry.
So one example would be like, if you see the ads on TV where all the leaves in your gutters and then you have to clean your gutters and it's painful to get the ladder and the time and.
Exactly.
It's considered, it's a pain, it's, and then the guys come out with the covers, they just let water go in your gutters and the leaves go off. And they don't have to get up there and clean their roof anymore, clean out the gutters in their roof. So the pain point would be tired of cleaning your gutters, grabbing a ladder, falling off, breaking your leg.
Yeah, great example. It's the actual problem that is sufficiently painful to them that they will respond to it in your advertising because they go, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Book proofing and editing, as we saw. Lists of great articles or video titles, and it comes up with phenomenal ones, particularly if you ask it to make, really compelling video titles or titles that are likely to go viral. Promotional copy in the style of famous copywriters, resumes, business ideas, business plans, exercise plans, business contracts. You can use it to overcome writer's block, of course. And few more things. You can ask AI to write and reply to emails in your style, your voice, and social media posts. You can have it do the replies and tech support even. And the thing is that AI voices, as you'll hear next week, AI voices have gone way beyond the roboticness that we're all used to of robot voices. They're now indistinguishable from humans. You can have a conversation with an AI and not know that and I'm going to demonstrate that next week, not know that you're talking to an AI. You'll be absolutely convinced it's a human being. Summarize multiple web pages. This is very useful. If I'm doing searching something in Google, what will come up is 20 pages for me to look through to try and find the answer to what I'm looking for, right? And I don't want to spend all that time searching through all those pages. Well, the AI will do that search for you in a split second, plus search the rest of the web and give you your answer in a split second. Same with long YouTube videos. I do a lot of research on YouTube. If you've got a video that's an hour or 2 hours long, I don't have time to watch that. So the AI will give me a summary. It'll tell me exactly what's said where and give me the highlights and give me the answer to my question. Saves a lot of time. Because it's works conversationally, you can even ask it to role play an upcoming interview where it's the interviewer and you're the interviewee, and you just go back and forth, and it will ask smart, logical questions, and you'll come up with your answers. You can ask it to make a legal document much less formal and much more understandable, and tell it what you need to know for pretty much situation. And you can get it to write your online course, build or edit your website, get it to write code, to create apps. You can now create apps yourself in minutes. You just tell it what you want and say, okay, here's for that. You can easily and quickly train it to write in your exact style. You can even take a photo, now that it understands what it sees, you can even take a photo of what's left in your fridge and ask for recipes for what you have left, which is kind of a fun thing.
It can tell you where to buy them.
Yeah. And if you find ChatGPT to be too complicated, we have CatGPT, where all it does is file its nails. Okay, here's just some of the ways that AI tools can help with marketing. They can do market research, researching market viability, competition, publics, audiences, influencers, and how to reach them. It can write incredible marketing campaigns. It wrote me a 40-page marketing campaign last week that was so brilliant. I mean, utterly brilliant. Keyword research, copywriting, as you saw, creating and editing images, which is what we're going to cover next week. Social media content, text, images, videos, animations, music, everything in multiple formats and sizes simultaneously. Social media scheduling and posting, creating websites, creating PowerPoints, creating flyers, posters, banners, business cards, advertisements. And again, this is all in minutes compared to usually the amount of time, the hours or more that it typically take. Logos, brochures, cards, newsletters, magazines, postcards, and much more. Scripting, creating and editing videos, editing and fixing audio, help with YouTube, summaries, titles, descriptions, tags, scripts, storyboards. And these are just some of the ways that it can help. And just literally this morning, just before I came here, I found another AI tool. And so I had to quickly add it here. And basically, it's called Learn GPT. And it's got a whole bunch of preset subjects, but you can type in your own subject you want to learn about. And then a few seconds later, it basically writes a book for you, which you can use as a book if you want to write a book on that subject. This one, I just asked it about AI, and it gave me a 15, 16 chapter book on the subject, and I scanned it over, and it was very, very good. Here are some different tools that you can use that can help even further with prompts. And like I say, just send me an email, and I'll send you the slides so you don't have to try and write these all down or screenshot them. Image prompts. Now, image prompts are typically more complex, as you have to communicate to the AI what you're seeing in your mind's eye. So you can understand how that would be harder. But I'm going to cover these in more depth next week in part 3, image prompts. So that's today's.
Can you back in that last slide?
Okay, so the final thing is there in the bottom left is my email address if you want a copy of the slides. And also you can ask for a free AI coaching session with me, where we'll look at the best use of AI for your particular business, your particular situation. Completely free, no obligation. So now it's question and answer time. So you can either put your questions in the chat or open your microphones, I guess. Oh, there's a question. There's 2 questions in the room. So I'll address those first. Yes.
If I had a legal document that I wanted to update, like a trust, would I have to scan it into the computer and then how do I put it on in the phone?
Okay. The question is, if I had a legal document, like for instance, a trust that I wanted to update, how would I get it into the AI? Would I have to scan it as a picture or what? Well, you could scan it as a picture, but it'd be easier just to copy and paste it. Yeah. Yeah. There was that you were
Back to, like a source code or something like that. It gets back to the information, in snippets, I think. But don't you still have to integrate that into your programming language? Your framework?
I couldn't hear all of that question.
You're using ChatGPT, like source code for you.
Yeah.
For developing an app. You have to, don't you have to integrate that source code into your own programming language or framework?
Well, you can say write it in Python. The question is, if you're trying to write code for an app, don't you have to integrate it into your own environment? Yes and no. You can get it to write the whole thing. You can tell it you wanted to write it in Python, for instance, a programming language. You can ask it to write the whole thing or sections or whatever you want.
Have you used it?
Me personally, no, I'm not a programmer, but I know people who have. Yes.
I did have an article. Steven Schwartz and Peter LaDuca got charged $5,000 because they submitted a legal brief that was written by ChatGPT.
Yes, that was
So I did read their stuff.
Yeah, that was many months ago. Yeah, things have changed dramatically.
Johnny, when it gets down to the legality item, don't forget we have local legal things that we have to know, state, federal, and universal.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have to be very careful when we're looking at legality.
Absolutely. Gentleman pointed out that legalities are different in different states and different areas, so you have to very much specify where you're asking about. Absolutely true, and I always do specify that.
You have a question.
Yeah, I see that, but there was another question in the room. Kuba.
Okay, sorry.
So Tony, you have more experience with almost combined probably in AI. Like for beginners, or just like for your trial and error, what have you found? What can you tell us so we avoid like some common problems, or like what advice do you have for us like us newbies from your experience?
I missed some of that question. I need
Like what advice do you have for us like people who are starting out, like for your trial and error from your experience? What do you like? Don't do ABC, for example, or that.
Well, remember in the tips I gave the do's and the don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
Those are basically the starting points. You got to be specific. You've got to really look at it from the viewpoint of you're asking your machine, and you've got to have the machine understand what it is. So how would you write that? And of course, you can ask the machine to rewrite what you write. But yeah, I mean, the specificity is very important.
I would think that any question you can ask you can ask the AI, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You won't like you as me.
All right, so okay, I've got some questions in the chat. If I have a report in Google Docs and partly in Sheets, will AI be able to expand the report, keeping the same format? It's a good question, and I don't know the answer because I've never tried to do that. Knowing AI, it's entirely possible. And of course, now Sheets and Google Docs have AI built into them. So it'd be pretty easy to find out. But like I say, I haven't tried that. I don't see why it wouldn't. Okay, from a past English teacher, how will a teacher know the essay report is from AI? I saw the undetectable.ai to protect the writer, not the teacher. There's more and more safeguards being built in because it's a rapidly expanding and changing landscape. laws are coming in that will are adding more protections, like protections for artists and writers. But there are also, for instance, now a recent thing was how can you tell if an image is created by a real person or an AI? And now there is code that Google has introduced that's going to be built embedded into the back of the image so that it says whether it's an AI image or not. And similar things are going to be happening with text so that you can tell if something's created by an AI. There's some things where people write prompts so badly it's very easy to see that the answer was written by an AI, but there are also tools to help protect that. So there's going to have to be a way to say, okay, this was definitely written by an AI, this wasn't. And also copyright laws are changing dramatically. In I think it was March, they basically, the Copyright Office said, you can't copyright something created by an AI. Then in August, they modified that to you can't copyright something created by an AI, but you can copyright your involvement in it. In other words, did you write the prompt? Did you get the AI to add something to the image? Did you change the image yourself? You can copyright all the things that you did, just not what the AI did by itself. And now at the end of August, the Copyright Office opened up the discussion to artists all over the world to get their input on what's needed. So it's changing dramatically.
You think the AI is retaining every prompt, every question somewhere so that it can build its knowledge and also deal with issues like who wrote what and where did this come from?
At the moment,
kept everything like Google probably does with all the search.
yeah, at the moment, I think that's the case, except like as I'll cover next week in the example of Midjourney, which is an area, one that people use for creating images a lot. If you just go into Midjourney and you start creating, you'll see all these other images that people are creating, and they'll see what you're creating. But if you press a big plus sign in the bottom left-hand corner, you can set up your own private area that nobody sees. Let me see. I've got another question here.
Tony, I have a question.
Can you hold on just a second and I'll get with you?
Sure.
There's a question I'm just starting to answer here. Could AI determine if a student's paper was written by AI? Yes, that's what's being worked on now. I mean, there are tools that claim to do that. They vary in their effectiveness. They're going to get better. Yes, so your question, Joseph?
Yeah, this is Joe. I have a question. Can you recommend something for reviewing legal documents? I see the limitations with Chat GPT, but I'm working with agreements that are like 60 pages.
Well, Claude is better for that because it can take 100,000 characters.
Well, still 100,000 characters isn't, I don't know, 10, 20 pages.
Well, you might have to do it in sections.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. I think the question is, does Alexa do the same thing as ChatGPT? Not that I know of. Isn't Alexa just for giving instructions like turn on the lights, find this, find that? I mean, it's using AI for sure, but it's not as smart as, say, Claude. You can't ask it, to write you a marketing campaign. Yes.
With your background in audio, I just saw that made a pair of hearing aids uses AI.
Yeah.
What are they? You got any idea of what it's doing? The AI.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but I did see that I've started to see two or three different things that are claiming to be AI based. I don't always believe, because as I covered last week, there are now 3,000 AI tools. Many of them are free, but a lot of them are just people jumping on the bandwagon so they can say, hey, this is AI and I'm going to, and some of them are not AI and some of them are very bad AI. But I haven't checked out hearing aids personally.
My son uses hearing aids, and I think his have AI capability. and they can automatically adjust the volume of every separate sound, and they can also translate language.
Absolutely. Well, just as I think I'm going to show next week, you can now have a video that you've created, say in English, with you speaking, and you can say, okay, make this in German with my voice, but speaking with the correct German accent and my lips matching the German words I'm saying. And that's available right now.
It would have to change the sentence structure.
I don't know how it does it, but people I've checked it with other languages.
The verbs at the end of the sentence.
I know, but it does it.
At the very end.
Yeah, but it absolutely does it, because I've checked with people who speak those languages natively, and they said, yeah, that's perfect translation.
Translated back to them, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, they're quite remarkable. Oh, I've got some more questions here. Barbara says, I realize that GPT is data-based. How does it do it so fast? Amazing. Well, the supercomputers, they can compute way faster than we can. Way faster. So with AI as an extension, do you basically stop the use of Google search and just go to AI for any of your searches? I actually, on my system, I have AI plugins and extensions that sit on my search page, and they amplify and expand the search capabilities. In fact, Google just released one, which is one that I also use, where you can, it'll ask you, do you want to do this search AI based, or do you want me to answer this as an AI? And it will do it, and it does a good job. Merlin, of course, sits there and answers anything that I'm searching for. But yeah, absolutely.
Tony,
Use Chrome.
Yeah.
quick question about speed. The terminology when you hear about a computer having multiple cores. I studied computer science, but it's gotten so far ahead of me. Does that a core actually represent what was a computer control unit with the arithmetic logic unit and instruction register? And if you have something with 50 cores, you basically have 50 little computers in there working in parallel.
Well, you're in the right place to ask that question.
What do you say?
Howard, where's Howard?
What a core is.
Howard, would you like to answer his question on cores?
Is that like a complete ALU and instruction register and the whole business that made up a computer proper in the old days? And you have multiple cores. Is that like multiple computers working in parallel on this?
So a core would be an individual computer, but within a core, you can multitask and you can have multiple virtual cores.
That's doing one thing and switching to something else. I mean, in parallel.
But it happens so fast you can't tell. I'm just saying that you watch out for the core can generate multiple virtual cores. If you don't do that, then a core can handle a process, and that's that.
And they say something has 4 cores that could do 4 things simultaneously, not concurrently, or this now and that then.
So AMD would advertise 4 cores, but really they had 2 hardware cores and then 2 virtual cores. So I don't know that we're answering your question for anybody.
After,
Okay, you guys, I don't know if you could hear all that, but it was basically a couple of very highly trained computer technicians discussing computer stuff. So I don't even remember what the question was or what the answer was. Okay.
Now, what I've learned out of this, Tony, is that if I need an AI Sherpa, I'm going to get in touch with you. And we use that email at the bottom left of your slide there to ask you for a copy of your slide.
Sure.
So I can sit down and practice with those, because I think that'd be most helpful for me.
Cool. I'd be happy to help. Okay. Oh yeah, Cuba.
Going back to the browser, I mean, have you looked up other browsers? Like, I mean, Chrome is obviously the most common one. Is that probably the best one? Have you looked at that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I use for different things. I use Firefox and Edge for various things. I don't use Safari because I'm not on a Mac, but I primarily use Chrome because most of the extensions that I need are set for Chrome. Okay, So any more questions? If not, we will. Oh, Doc, do you want to say anything about the club?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really.
Don't joke.
Got your mic on? No, that's what I'm trying to give you.
You can ask AI for a prompt.
Yes, Doc is asking AI what he should say.
Really, you should be able to hear me now. Can everybody hear me?
It's answering your voice too.
Is it, okay, yeah, the Tampa Bay Technology Center, we were originally called the Tampa Bay Computer Club. We had to drop the computer because younger people, they don't know what a computer is. They use a phone, you know, so it was like, so we got those questions and we said, okay, so we're a technology center, is what we are. But one of our claim to fame is we charge a membership at our club costs $50 for a year. That's $50 just charged one time. And for that year, anytime during that year, you can bring your computer in and we will do a free repair on your computer. Now, a lot of people, they wait until their computer breaks. Then they come to us, pay us the $50 and get the service right that day. Because we don't take it like some places and tell you to come back in 2 weeks. We fix it while you're here. So, you know, and we actually fix it. So we've had them from the other people that said, you know, we paid $250 and it still wasn't fixed when we got it. And our guys fixed it in 20 minutes. So it's like, what do you do? We're doing a lot of speeches that are coming up. This was the second of Tony's 4-part seminar. I'm going to tell you that next week will also be cool. Today was an important one, but next week he's going to delve into using AI to generate images. I know somebody that's writing a book already using that technology, and that was what I mentioned it last week. She showed me pages of her book, and she was using Mid-Journey, which a lot of people like. It's a good graphics program, but at that time, for some reason, it thought human beings had 6 fingers. And I thought, well, that ought to be easy to fix, but it wasn't. It took them weeks. But Tony tells me it's been fixed since then. So we now have 5 fingers, and you could possibly specify 1. I'm not sure what you'll get there. But, so anyway, Tony, we thank you so much. I know how you put this out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And just to piggyback on what you were saying, I'm actually doing the illustrations for a children's book for an author. And while occasionally we do use Midjourney, we 90% of the time use another AI tool, which I'll introduce you to next week, because it's extraordinary what it does. And the fact that it obeys your prompts first time. It doesn't decide to get creative and add things to what you asked for or miss things that you asked for. Yes?
So you elaborated about how many different AI tools there are. How many of them are free to use and how many of them have their own subscriptions?
Okay. Yeah, here's a good prompt question.
Yeah.
Many, and the majority of them are free. Many of them have a freemium model where they're free, but if you want more capability or more more things you can do, and they will charge you typically $10 a month, maybe $15 a month. There's a very few that are paid only, and they're estimating there's going to be 10,000 by the end of the year, and there's new ones coming all the time. I did a seminar 1 week, and then 2 weeks later did another one, and I already had to add 20 new tools that were fantastic tools that I just couldn't not add, because they're constantly coming up with new ways and new ideas on how to use AI.
I still haven't figured Tony out. He knows so many, he has such a broad spectrum of what's going on out there. And it's like, I'm lucky to use 2 of them, you know, so it's quite a difference. It's always good to grab what he knows. But you know what, there's nothing like a spirit of play to do this. If you'll notice, one of the things that he did was he took a question that he had to ask, that he wanted to ask. And what did he do? He put it into 6 different GPTs, okay? And that gave him a broad section of answers, which he could then use and bring them together and use them. What a great way to have that many choices. And, you know, they don't cost that much, and if anything, and you see how quickly they answer. You know, if it thinks more than a couple of minutes, that's a long one. Generally, it starts answering as soon as you put your question in. It's already formulated the answer and starts spitting it back out at you.
You think there'd be a dog pile of these things, you know, like they do with the dog pile did with the searches, where you put your question in and it goes to multiple sources and comes back. Everything. Dog pile does that with all of them.
Right. Yeah.
That dog pile thing for AI.
Well, AI goes across the entirety of the internet, plus all the information it's gleaned from dealing with millions
So
of
it's
people
already
around the
kind
world.
of doing it?
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
so not just Microsoft.
No.
No, it just amazes me. You wrote a question and it started answering it, and it filled that whole screen. I thought, I couldn't type that.
Right.
You know, I was at 80 or 90 words a minute. I still couldn't type it fast as that one.
Yeah, and
Finish the
luckily,
question or did it start as he was asking?
Yeah, but I mean, I was just amazed that so much came up, but I couldn't type that.
yeah, and luckily there's a little button on the corner of each of their answers that says copy, and you can just copy it and paste it.
No, but I mean, it just to me is just
Sure,
mind blowing.
it really is. It is to me, and I'm used to this stuff.
So I guess you could ask your AI, what is the best AI to do this specific project?
It'll say Alexa.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thanks again.
One more time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
There were over 50 people here today, between here and online. So, nice turnout.
Yeah, it's hard and distracting. You think that some labor than getting Microsoft line for something.
Oh yeah. I'll go into GitHub next week. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I guess we're going to wrap it up.
I'm going to shut it down.
Okay. Doc is about to shut down the Zoom.
Thank you, Tony. Good job.
Oh, yes, you're very welcome. Thank you, guys.